Welcome back to Two Marks and a Spark. We're a couple days late this week, but that's okay. We got a lot of news to talk about, along with Wrestle Dream. We'll talk about last night's Raw next week.
Yes.
Uh, but the main thing I want to get out of the way here first, Joe Koff, former Ring of Honor COO, passing away today at 73. He really oversaw Ring of Honor along with Kerry Silken through its brightest period.
Yes.
So obviously, best wishes to him and his family, but well, his family, but
Yes.
uh, Russ, do you think AEW will acknowledge this on Dynamite tomorrow? I think they have to.
I think they probably will because they're the only ones that are keeping the Ring of Honor alive, and at least in some form.
Right.
So
And a
I
lot of
imagine
people that work
they
for
would have to.
AEW worked with Joe Koff. Like a lot of people that work there now worked in Ring of Honor when Joe was there. So I imagine they're going to acknowledge this in some way, and then certainly they'll acknowledge it on Ring of Honor TV this week.
Well, Ring of Honor, you know, it's a survivor thanks to Tony Khan.
It's barely alive, but it is alive.
That's right.
What was also alive, kind of, was WrestleDream. But before that, they had that Dynamite show last Tuesday that did the worst number in the history of Dynamite.
That's what I understand. And it wasn't the worst show they'd ever done by any means because I did watch it, even though it was up against NXT. I did watch it, and very, very low numbers, but it wasn't a completely horrible show by any means.
It was not a horrible show, and it was weird because it really did feel like this was Danielson's last Dynamite, and they promoted it kind of as such, and still nobody watched.
Right.
So, like, 319,000 was the final number, and that is completely abhorrent.
That's pretty low. That's a record low for that program, I understand.
It is.
Whether Tuesday or Wednesday.
It is, and it's damn near a record low for any AEW programming.
How did the ratings on NXT do? I know that they're on a new channel. I'm just curious if they have gone up or down since they switched. Uh, Most people are assuming that the reason why Dynamite lost out was because they were competing against NXT. But yet it was not NXT on the USA Network. It's on a network that fewer people have access to. There's fewer people that subscribe to the CW than to USA, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to find the number from last week.
Well, I
Uh,
figured you would know how to look for it, because you are the numbers man. You know about the television business.
well, yeah, and I usually don't have a hard time finding it, but here, let's
Well,
use
that's okay.
this. Oh, I got it. I got it. So last week on the CW, NXT did 874,000.
Well, okay. Well,
That's almost that. In fact, for certain weeks, that is actually better than what they were doing on the USA Network.
yeah, yeah, it is interesting.
And last week's AEW number was not good. So it'll be interesting to
I know
see
that
how
they
they
continue
rebound.
to struggle with ratings and also with ticket sales at their events. That apparently, even though they're booking smaller venues, from what I read online, that still is an ongoing issue.
Well, the Tacoma Dome, I mean,
They sold
looked
out.
pretty good.
They did they sell out to that?
They were only set up for, I think, like 7,800, and they had that.
Yeah,
So,
it was a good crowd for the show.
and the show actually opened with a very good match. It was Adam Page versus Jay White. Jay White got a pretty good match out of the Hangman,
I was surprised. It's been a while since we've seen Jay White wrestle, and
especially on pay-per-view.
he looked really good. He looked really good, and I'm hoping that that's a sign that maybe they'll be using him a little better in the future because you know, not being as familiar with Jay White when he did come to AEW as a lot of other fans who knew him from Japan. I was expecting them to use him a lot better than they have so far.
Well, him and Okada both, right?
Yes,
Okada, who was not even on this show, by the way, at all, really.
that's right. He sure wasn't.
Well, that match goes about 16 minutes. Jay White beats him, and Adam Page proceeds to cuss a lot before storming to the back. We then had Willow Nightingale challenging for the women's title against Mariah May. Mariah May, this was a shorter match. This only went about 11 minutes, and Mariah
Right.
May pinned her with a kind of a pile driver type thing.
I thought both women looked good. I think they both normally wrestle very well, and they've had some good matches with each other before. This was a good one too.
And then we had the dumbest match on this card, despite me liking half of these guys.
You're talking about Shibata versus Jack Perry?
Shibata versus Perry, and if it feels like we're going a little fast through this, it's because I have a lot to say about the main event.
Yeah.
Uh, this match did not need to be on this show. And this show was too long anyway.
Yes.
And this match is prime example. And I know it was only 10 minutes. But they have completely botched Jack Perry.
Yes, they have. But
Just completely.
I felt that the shortness of the match was due so that they could. What happened immediately after the match was, building a storyline here for the future.
Well, yeah.
And yeah, Jack. Well, I don't understand why Jack Perry was so upset. Other than that, he's just a miserable son of a bitch.
Well, he is a miserable son of a bitch. Um,
That's his gimmick anyway, and he's doing a good job of it.
and then we had probably the second best match on this card, which was the three-way for the International Championship. Ricochet, Osprey, and Konosuke Takeshita. Takeshita actually won this match, which
I was surprised.
shocked me to all hell.
I was very happy that he won, but I was surprised. I expected Will Ospreay to retain that title, but I think as far as what they might be doing with Will Ospreay, they're going to have some ongoing feud with the Don Callis family, obviously.
And they've got the MJF stuff as well.
Well, yeah, because here comes Daniel Garcia, followed by
MJF,
followed
followed
by
by,
and then I was surprised. I didn't expect to see Adam Cole back.
well, Adam Cole is back and he's fully healthy. I guess Adam Cole's return was delayed slightly because I guess him and Britt Baker split and he had to
I
move
understand there
from,
was, yeah.
and he had to move like across the country or whatever. I don't fully know what happened there. That's just the report. But I guess that delayed his return slightly because moving across the country is time consuming.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
well, they're all back now. Uh, I wonder if the some of this is in response to the horrible number they did on Wednesday or Tuesday, excuse me.
That very well could be.
I wonder if
But
Tony
will we
called
see
Max
some
and
more of
said,
the will he come back and team now with his old mates with Matt Taven, Mike
I
Bennett?
think that's over. It seems like Adam's going to be the babyface here
It
and
seems
Max
to
is going
me
to be
like
the.
they're kind of have moved on to their own entirely different deal now.
And Wardlow is just nowhere to be found. Anyway,
Yeah, whatever happened to Wardlow?
I think you kind of forget he's on the card sometimes. Like you
That's
kind of forget
right.
he's on the roster.
Yes, he is still on the roster officially, but apparently, well, I looked at their roster just recently, and there are people still on the roster officially that we haven't seen on TV in ages, like Rebel, for example. She's still on there, so apparently she's getting a paycheck for something.
I wish they'd use Lance Archer more because he's one guy I really like a lot that just
We hardly ever see him, and every time he does, he gets over really well with the crowd. He's a good monster heel that the crowd responds to, but very rarely Do we ever get to see the guy?
And here's the thing, he can work longer matches, so it's not like he doesn't have the ability to work these longer matches. He's done it before. Him and John Moxley on one of the anniversary shows during the pandemic had like a 25-minute match on a Dynamite. So he can work longer matches
If they'll let him.
if they'll let him. So it's not even like an issue of, oh, this guy can't go for very long. Well, yeah, he can. He's done
Yeah,
25-minute
an
matches.
awful lot of guys that size are blown up after 5 minutes, but he's not.
No, and he's in incredible shape too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, after this, we had an absolute horseshit 2 out of 3 falls match between the Beast Mordos and Hologram. This was bad. This was not good at all.
Well, did you see that? I forget which program it was on. It might have been Collision, it might have been Dynamite, but an attempted backstage interview with the Beast Mortos. And his answer to every question was,
This had to be on Collision because,
I think it was it might even have been Rampage. I can't remember, but I just remember it was goofy as hell. I thought, you can't be serious.
well, Hologram remains undefeated. I've liked what I've seen of Hologram. He's a good worker,
Yeah,
but they're just using him really weird.
yeah. And
But he,
whoever this Beast Mortos is under the mask, he's not a bad worker at all. You know, I'm not, like I said, the Lucha Libre style is not my favorite, but I can adapt to that style of storytelling. And of the ones that they have, he's one of the better ones. I tend to like the bigger, heavier luchadors, kind of like old La Parka used to be on WCW, twice as tall as the rest of them.
well, speaking of twice as tall, we had Brody King versus Darby Allin next. This was
I
too
like this.
short. This
It
was
was too.
too
I
short.
like this one. I was surprised at how I thought this is going to be a terrible mismatch, but Darby Allin, he surprises me. I still tend to be a little skeptical of the gimmick, but he put on a really good match here. I enjoyed the post-match good sportsmanship, which was a little surprising for Brody King after losing a match to shake the hand of his opponent.
Well, Brody's incredible and Darby's really good, and Brody's been incredible for a long time. And these two guys have wrestled before on the indies, so I knew this was going to be good. I just thought it was too short. And then
Correct.
a surprisingly good tag team match was next. This match I actually didn't hate. Private Party and the Young Bucks. Uh, Private Party are really good. Like I don't know what a Private Party are just really good. Like
They've been
they
there. They've been in AEW since the first year, have they not?
yeah. But
Okay, that's what I
have
thought.
you ever noticed that every time you watch Private Party, you're like, damn, these guys are good.
Yeah, and you wonder why we don't see more of them.
And it's like, okay, we bitch about these bad Young Bucks matches. They have a good one here. They pulled a
But
good match out of their ass. And now,
it was
granted,
surprising to me. I knew the Young Bucks were going to win because EVPs. What do you expect?
but the
But
match
sooner
was
or
like,
later, they're going to have to lay them down to somebody.
right. But were you not shocked at how good this match actually was versus what
It's
probably your
better. Than
expectation
it's
was?
better than I expected it to be because the show had gone on long enough at this point where it's very easy to just let your attention wander or take a little nap, take a little break. But yeah, this was much better than I thought it was going to be. I wouldn't say it was a 5-star match, but it was not bad.
And then we had a match that, well, Mark Briscoe tried to make this match good. Mark
Well,
Briscoe
Mark
tried
Briscoe
his
versus
damnedest.
Chris Jericho.
Mark Briscoe, God bless the guy. He tried his damnedest here, didn't he?
Yeah,
He
he
was
sure
really
did.
trying.
How long did this one go on? Any idea?
About 15 minutes.
Too long.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. This is one that actually they could have. delegated to like a dynamite and
Well,
kept it off of pay-per-view.
Mark Briscoe was really trying his damnedest to get a good match here.
He
I
was
mean,
working very hard. And I don't know, I can't say that Jericho wasn't doing the best that he could. I don't think Jericho's work is as good as it used to be. He's getting older, and some might argue that maybe he should kind of fade away or retire.
I mean, there was no please retire
He's
chance.
already past the option of going out when he was on the top of his game. That ship has already sailed.
That is 3 years gone,
Yeah, I think so.
at least. Well,
Yeah,
anyway, Briscoe wins, retains the title. He's probably never going to lose the damn thing. And that was that.
right.
And then, Russ, we get to the main event. And as you said, this show was too damn long anyway. But this match was too damn short.
It seemed to be over with awful quick, you know.
Like, it felt like this got started and then it was over. Surprisingly, they went 27 minutes almost exactly. And I could not believe this finish.
Yeah, it was
This
really
finish
something.
was abhorrent.
Well, this finish really ended the pay-per-view with a very somber down feeling from the crowd and from the audience.
So
Apparently, from
Mox,
what I read, it's exactly the way Bryan Danielson wanted to do it. But yeah, the whole thing really was kind of a downer, wasn't it?
so no surprise here, but John Moxley and Brian Danielson had a hell of a match. No surprise. I think I could have gone without saying that because it's John Moxley and Brian Danielson. You know these two are gonna have a good match. Like,
Always do.
duh, that's gonna be good, of course. But it
Absolutely.
ends when Moxley throws Brian Danielson in a chokehold about the fourth of the match. And Moxley had been working Danielson's neck the whole time.
Right.
And this chokehold didn't look too much different from the others, really.
And that's where the referee called for the end of the match, and I didn't quite see that happening right then. You know what I mean?
Okay, the I think the explanation is going to be, and if you gave Bryce Remsburg an in storyline truth serum as to why he called it off, I think Remsburg had just seen enough and was just like, I can't fucking watch this anymore.
Yeah.
This
But then
guy's
it
gonna
got worse after the match was over.
this guy's gonna fucking die. I need to
It
end
looked that
this.
way, didn't it?
Um, and then somehow after the match, it just got worse.
Sure. Because here comes the whole crew.
The Blackpool Combat Club comes out, and Danielson is dead, pretty much literally.
Right.
Uh, as good as dead. Like Danielson's not getting up. Mox grabs the belt. Remsburg looks like he's about to cry. Remsburg looks like he doesn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
And Remsburg just looks lost. Like, really just lost. Excalibur is beside himself.
Yes.
Nigel McGuinness, who hates Brian Danielson, has completely gone quiet, is
Right.
not saying anything.
That's right.
And Tony Schiavone is just kind of shocked.
Right.
And Jim Ross doesn't know what to say for the first time in his life. So,
But Excalibur's never at a loss for words, even when he ought to be keeping his mouth shut. But that's an old story, right?
well, he was here. He didn't know
Yeah.
what to say.
Yeah.
And by the way, shout out to Jim Ross. I thought he had a very good night on commentary again.
Oh, yeah.
This is two pay-per-views in a row where I didn't think Jim Ross was absolutely terrible.
Yep.
It seems like this limited duty for him is serving him well because when he's on
I
TV
hope
now.
he's able to keep doing it as long as he wants to do it.
But this limited duty is kind of serving him well because now you get him for the big matches when it matters.
Right.
And
Exactly.
when Moxley won, there was almost no reaction. Like you could have almost heard a damn pin drop. So Moxley hands the belt to Claudio, who stuffs it in a duffel bag.
Yeah, I didn't get that. That seemed very odd. And the crowd really was quiet. They weren't booing. They were
Oh,
just kind of like dumb.
they booed when Moxley stuffed the title in the bag. They booed
Yeah.
at that. They didn't
Yeah.
like that. I don't think this AEW crowd likes it when they disrespect the belt, when
Right.
the wrestlers disrespect the belt, because 99.999% of the fans that were in the building for this show have been watching AEW since it started.
Sure.
So I
Yes.
guess I get it.
I understand too. Could I
So
mention what? Go ahead.
Moxley stuffs the title in a bag, pulls out that paper bag that he used, or that plastic bag that he used to choke Danielson out last time. Yuta comes out, looks like he's going to try and stop this madness. And then Yuta and Darby come out, and Yuta turns on Darby
Yeah.
and
And
looks like he immediately
it looks like he
regretted it.
immediately regretted it.
Yeah, he looked like he was ready to cry.
Right. And then Moxley hands him the bag.
Well, but first, Marina Shafir, Claudio, and Pac taped up Darby in the corner. They taped his hands to the
That's
rope.
right.
That was creative. I was like,
Yeah.
why don't they have handcuffs?
Right. Duct tape works. Duct tape works for anything.
And they must have taped Darby's hands pretty damn good because he couldn't get out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One thing that I thought was funny was Pac kept telling Darby to shut the hell up. I thought that was funny. I don't know
Yeah.
why. In this moment of just absolute misery, I thought that was hilarious. And then
Yeah.
finally, after Wheeler takes the bag from Moxley and kind of says, "I'm sorry, Brian," before choking him with the bag, here comes, of all the goddamn people, Jeff Jarrett.
Yes. Jeff Jarrett, who in the course somehow got busted open on his cheek.
Private Party came out. Hook came out.
Yes.
Daniel Garcia came out there.
Right.
They emptied the damn locker room practically of who was
Pretty much.
left, and they all got just absolutely mangled.
They had just about everybody out there that was on the card, except for Truth and Turbo.
Well, and Jarrett wasn't on the card, but he was out
Right.
there.
I think he works behind the scenes better, does he not?
Who?
Jeff Jarrett?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
he does a lot of stuff. Well,
So he would have been there anyway.
Jeff Jarrett got his absolute shit kicked in by John Moxley.
He sure did.
I mean, John Moxley beat the hell out of poor Jeff Jarrett
Yeah.
as Danielson is laying in the ring dead. And the Blackpool Combat Club, I think, just got bored of beating up on Danielson and started beating everybody else up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a real somber feeling in the entire thing. And you
Yeah.
could tell the building was just dead. Like
Right.
they didn't know what to do.
Yeah. The crowd was really, really quiet at the end.
And once everybody's dead and on the ground and laid out, and Private Party looked like they'd just been murdered, and so does everybody else for that matter. The Blackpool Combat Club decide, well, Danielson's dead. They're dead. Everybody's dead. Darby's tied up, so he can't do anything. We're just gonna get the fuck out of here.
Yep. And that was it.
And then once the BCC have left, Jarrett gets back in the ring, who was bleeding for some reason, like you
Right.
said. I don't know how that happened.
I didn't see it, but he obviously got busted open somewhere, probably from Moxley kicking him in the face.
or punching him or elbowing him or
Yeah,
whatever the hell else Moxley did. I mean, Moxley was beating on Jeff Jarrett forever. He had a real
yeah.
vendetta against Jeff Jarrett specifically. I don't know
It sure
why.
seemed like it.
What did Jeff Jarrett do to you, John? What did
Right?
Jeff do to you? What did Slapnuts do to you? So
Yeah.
old Slapnuts gets back in the ring and looks at Brian like, "Oh my God, he's dead."
Oh, then
And
they start on taping Darby.
well, I don't remember who it was, but I think it was one of the guys from Private Party grabbed a pair of scissors and
Right.
started cutting him out. Or maybe it was Hook. I don't know. And then, oh, Orange Cassidy was out there also, but I think Orange Cassidy came out there after to help get Darby
That's
loose.
right. And everybody's just kind of standing around there, the ring, looking very somber and sad and depressed.
Darby was crying. Orange Cassidy looked like he wanted to, and Hook just looked really angry.
Hmm. Well,
like, and the doctors all come running down, and
well, I tell you what, they the way they loaded him up and the way they stabilized him and got him onto the board and everything, they took their time with it and made it look very, very real. They did it correct enough that I'm sure a lot of people were convinced it was a real injury, you know?
well, and the other smart thing they did is they had people standing around him to block the cameras.
Right.
That's very realistic as well. In a sports
Correct.
injury, guys are going to stand around whoever's hurt. Um,
Yes.
and it was just kind of really sad because you knew Danielson was done.
Right. Well,
And
now what I keep reading is they said he's done with full time wrestling, but they're hoping he may occasionally wrestle.
well, it's going to be three to
I,
four times a year.
yeah,
That should all be on pay per view, by the way. He should not wrestle on TV again.
exactly. He definitely should be. And I hope that in the process he do so he doesn't break his neck for real. I really
Well,
hope he
he's
does.
having neck surgery, presumably soon. So, Russ, this was the most somber ending
Yeah.
to a
We've skipped over one segment,
what's that?
the return of Swerve Strickland.
Oh, yes, that was right near the middle of the show.
Right.
And we thought it was going to be Swerve versus Shelton Benjamin in a match. It was not that. It was a promo segment.
I think they're going to lead up to that.
They teased Swerve turning on Nana. He didn't do it.
Right.
Thank God, because
Not,
Prince
not
Nana
yet.
is
Not yet. And I hope they don't go there. I hope they don't.
well. If they do, I hope Prince Nana finds a new friend to run around with because Prince Nana is fantastic.
I think he's great. I like him a lot. Always have.
So these two really just have a verbal back and forth,
With the MVP, Shelton Benjamin.
and it ends in a pull
I
apart.
keep wondering if Bobby Lashley's going to show up, you know?
Well, he's going to. He's going to. He's signed. He's just not there yet. But Russ, overall, what did you think of WrestleDream? I thought it was a B plus show.
Yeah, I'd give it a B.
B plus, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's above average. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, there's a few things they could have taken the 2 out of 3 falls and the Chris Jericho versus Mark Briscoe, moved them to a Wednesday night or a Saturday night, and I would have been fine with that. And it would have shortened up the show. Plus, we didn't even mention before the fact they had 4 matches on the pre-show. They had a 90-minute 0 hour show, and it's
Including
just
what I
like,
heard was an abhorrent Harley Cameron Anna J match.
well, there was a bad referee botch. Uh, at,
Well, I heard the whole match was bad, but
yeah, it wasn't great, but when Harley Cameron was being pinned, now I saw it on the replay. I didn't see it when it first happened, but the her shoulder, one of her shoulders was not down, and you clearly saw the referee put his hand in there, push her shoulder down onto the mat, and then proceed to count to three. And I'm thinking, oh man, I wonder if that really, really looked bad. And it,
Oh,
it
how do
made
you do
both of the
that?
women look really bad too, because it was the referee's botch. And I always figured that, if I'm a referee, I have to react to what's actually happening there, whether it's scripted or not.
Yeah,
You hear
they
about
need
them
to.
doing that. You hear about sometimes the ending of matches are occasionally changed because somebody made a mistake and they didn't want to make it look totally fake.
It happened more in the territory days than it happens now, but
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
because if
And
somebody makes a
apparently,
mistake,
also on that pre-show, they had the M&M collection. They were defeated by the Acclaimed, and uh, the M&M collection it's a goofy gimmick. I'll grant you that. But they both impressed me as being very good workers, and I think that they might have a good future in this company. They are good workers, and they as goofy as their gimmick is, they do have something.
they do indeed have something, and they're good workers, like you said. Russ, was this better than Bad Blood? Because in certain spots, it certainly felt like it was.
Um, wow. Let me think.
I think the main event was
I think
better.
I think there were parts of it that were better than Bad Blood because Bad Blood was a little bit of a letdown from what we were expecting,
And
and
I
this
think a
was
part,
better than I expected, and Bad Blood was a little bit worse than I expected.
well,
I'll give Tony Khan credit. I mean, I've criticized the guy a lot, but I hate to say that maybe his booking is getting a little better, but
it's not.
at least in some cases, I think it is.
Well, the next pay-per-view, I believe, is Crown Jewel.
Which one?
Crown Jewel.
When's that?
That is
What's
November 2nd.
about a month and a half?
No, about 3 weeks.
Oh, Crown Jewel's on the 2nd.
Yeah.
That's right, November 2nd. And then with AEW Full Gear is Saturday, November 23rd. So
Uh,
they're going to be building up toward Full Gear. But yeah, Saudi Arabia are probably my least favorite WWE pay-per-view of the year just because it's in Saudi Arabia. You know,
And Pepsi Phil decided to take time off right before they go to Saudi Arabia. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him. Yeah, well, he's beaten up. He beat up enough from that match. I imagine him and Drew McIntyre should be taking a good long time off just to heal up.
Just to recover, yeah.
You know, Drew
I
McIntyre had 16 staples in his head from that toolbox shot. That was very, very real, 100% real. You know, and then when I see that, I think about several different wrestlers in the past who have said CM Punk was dangerous to work with and reckless and hurt people. And I'm sure that spot was planned, but I don't think it was planned for him to get 16 staples in his head.
No, I don't imagine that it was. But then after that, next month we have on November 30th War Games from Vancouver.
War games. That's what they call Survivor Series now, right?
Yep.
There you go.
And
I don't think we're ever going to see an old fashioned war Survivor Series like it was originally. With the two teams of five. Well, they just call it War Games, right?
well, I don't
But
think
originally, War Games was a whole different pay-per-view. That was a Dusty Rhodes creation, I believe.
yeah, well, I think the War Games gimmick works better than the traditional Survivor Series match.
I do too.
Just just with the way the business has gone, I think War Games works better than the traditional 5-on-5 um elimination style match. I don't know that that works anymore, but it
Yes.
it War Games works, and I think they're going to stick with it. So, well, folks, you know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe on
Please
YouTube,
do.
follow on TikTok, do all the good stuff. Uh, we'll be back here in a little under a week for
Yes.
our weekly wrap up and all that stuff.
Yes, we will.
Russ, Russ, I have
Yes,
not
sir.
seen Raw last night yet. I heard it was a good show. I have not seen it
Yes.
yet.
Yes, it was. It was pre-taped a week ago in St. Louis,
Right.
and I believe next Monday night
Is
will
live.
also be. I think that's what they're doing with this 2 hour format, at least for a while they're accommodating moving around for a European tour, etc.
Yep, they're in Europe. So that's why Raw last night was pre-taped, and next week it'll be live, and then SmackDown's going to be pre-taped in a couple weeks as well. So we'll see because they split the European dates. So they're doing some of them this month and some of them next month. So there's going to be some pre-tapes
Okay.
just scattered about there. And I think that's just to avoid having to do TV in Europe, which I
It's
mean they've done TV.
probably a lot more expensive than you would think.
Well, probably, yeah, I would imagine. All right, folks.
Right?
Russ,
Peace out.
Russ, I'll see you later this week, buddy.
Ooh.
Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Follow on the TikTok, as I already said. Damon, play our fucking music.